Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Glow Up Guide podcast. So today's episode is all about screen time. So everyone knows that screen time is really bad for you, but we still spend so much time on social media and screens, and honestly, just waste a lot of our life on screens. So we're gonna be talking about why screen time sucks, how it can affect parts of your life that you might even think are not even relevant and how to reduce your screen time. Okay, so life update, podcast updates actually first. There's nothing. I'm at 550 something plays, I think. So trying to get that to 600 by hopefully the end of the year. I mean, I'm kind of setting a long goal, but I'm hoping if I set a smaller goal, I'll naturally overshoot and end up with hopefully 700 or something. I don't know, a lot higher than 600. Hopefully we get there. But yeah, that's it for that. And then life updates. I completely forgot about my 75 glow challenge this one day, and I had to restart. And now I'm on day 4, and it's going great so far. So that's that. And then one thing we're grateful for, and then one thing we're happy about, plus our book of the week. Okay, so one thing I'm grateful for is books. Honestly, just like books. Because I have been really bored just now, and just so freaking bored, and I forgot to record this episode, and I feel like I sound tired, and I'm just tired. Like, I kind of want to go to sleep. It's the point where you're so bored, you just eh, don't want to do anything. You want to do something because you're bored, but you're also just so bored to the point where you don't want to do anything. So yeah, that's just kind of me today. But yeah, that's that. So I'm grateful for books because I wasn't bored for a short period of time because I finished a book I was reading. So yeah. And our book of the week. Okay, no, wait, not our book of the week. One thing I'm happy about. Probably the fact that we only have 2 days of school this week because it's like the end of the quarter, which means there's a bunch of holidays already, and then Diwali and Halloween fall on the same day, so there's holidays for that too. So we only have to go to school Monday and Tuesday this week, and then we have off until the Wednesday of next week. So that's really fun. I don't know how I'm gonna stay occupied for that whole really long weekend, but I'm gonna figure it out and make it fun. Okay, I'm gonna try and make this weekend as fun as I can. I'm probably gonna bake a bunch of shit, but yeah, that's that. Okay. So our book of the week is Safe by S.K. Barnett. So basically it's this book about a girl. Okay, well not a girl. So Jenny Crystal. She was only 6 and she mysteriously got abducted. Okay, whatever. Abducted. It is not even that, and it's very strange because it's just a quiet, tiny neighborhood. And then 12 years later, she's somehow returned home after escaping her kidnappers. But her parents and her older brother are welcoming her back. There are obviously lots of questions. And what's been so long? Why is all this happening? And is home really is being back home really the safest place for her or for any of them? So yeah, that's that. This was a really good book. It was kind of boring for the first little bit, but then it got really interesting. So yeah, it still took me a while to read though because I just haven't found time to read. Because I've had so much schoolwork, honestly. School was chaos because it's the end of the first grading period. So that's fun. But okay, so really short introduction. Okay, so let's start with why screen time sucks. My first one is that too much screen time can make you tired. Probably me today because I feel like I've been on screens a lot. I'm literally sick of this. I want to do something, but I don't want to go on screens. Okay, I need to find things to do when I'm bored. I need to find new hobbies and shit. Okay. So there's the blue light that is emitted from most devices like phones and smartwatches, computers. That blue light can make you feel more awake, and that's why people say you shouldn't use any kind of technology that emits blue light. 30 minutes to an hour from bedtime. But after that little burst of awakeness, you'll feel more tired. I mean, if you spend 5 minutes on a screen, I think you'll be fine as long as it's not in that 30 minutes to an hour before bed. But like in this modern world, I guess, literally everything is about technology and social media and AI and all that stuff. And in my generation, I'm a Gen Z, as well as like Generation Alpha. These are the first two generations that grew up with social media. And that also has an impact because it's just a part of life for these people, and most people my age and sometimes me can't go about daily life without screens. But older generations have the knowledge of what it was like before screens, and social media were such a huge part of life. Okay, so I just got really off track. Anyway, going back to my original point, screen time makes you tired. I feel like just about everyone can relate to this. If you're just doom scrolling or binge watching a TV series, you feel tired afterwards, don't you? Or like sometimes you just do those things because you're tired and you don't really feel much better after that. Um so yeah. Or in my case, like after a really long test, I get really tired because I just spent 2 or so hours in front of a screen focusing on school and literally nothing else. It gets tiring really easily. So, in short, screen time makes you tired for a bunch of reasons. Like it's like increased cortisol production, which is a stress hormone. I cannot speak today, which is the stress hormone, and it also causes like eye strain in the short term because you blink less and that kind of stuff when you're looking at screens. But in the long term, it can actually cause like pretty significant eye damage and reduce your melatonin levels when trying to sleep. So yeah, apparently screen time increases cortisol levels, which is stress hormone, and we all know that stress is tiring. When you spend a lot of time in front of a screen, you might also feel like your eyes are physically hurting. That's because when we look at screens, not like subconsciously, we blink a lot less, like I mentioned, and that makes our eyes burn or feel kind of tired. Excessive eye strain can also lead to more permanent eye damage. Screen time in the hours before bed limits our melatonin production, and that's the hormone that helps us get tired and fall asleep. So you might also get less sleep, and that might make you even more tired and fatigued in the long run. And that's just only one of the reasons why screen time sucks. Second, too much screen time can actually change your whole brain structure. So the human brain isn't done developing until like the age of 25 or so, and most of my listeners are younger than that. So usually whenever we go on screens, it's to fulfill something. We want to check our email, messages, see how many likes one of our posts got, these types of things. When they're fulfilled, you get a boost of dopamine. Dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical, like a feel-good chemical that your brain loves. So your brain's reward system remembers that doing something on a screen or checking social media or doing something like that equals a dopamine hit. And over some more time, that link is what leads to screen time addiction or social media addiction. With that addiction comes a lot of dopamine hits too. We need dopamine to survive, but like with anything, too much dopamine can actually change the brain structure if it's not done developing, and sometimes even after it's done developing. That's the amount of negative power screens have. Another interesting but slightly irrelevant fact is that there was a study on kids under the age of 5, and there was a group of 5-year-olds that had no screens, absolutely none, until they turned 5. And after 5 years old, screens were slowly introduced into the lives of these kids. But the other group was kids under 5 who just grew up with screens as part of their daily lives. So the kids who got screen time before the age of 5 had impacted brain development in many parts of the brain later in life, and they also had worse literacy skills and they struggled in school because of those brain development issues, I guess. There were some other parts that I can't remember, but isn't that kind of crazy? I learned about this for a school project last year, but it's still interesting. And also kind of crazy that screens can actually do that much damage. Like you might not think about it because it's just like, oh, a few minutes, and then it turns into a few hours. But still, you don't really think about it when you go on screens and are simultaneously basically destroying your brain. Um, Screen time impacts your brain development in a few ways, such as too many dopamine hits, blue light brain stimulation, and it affects certain parts of the brain responsible for focus and remembering important things. That's why people's attention spans are shorter than the attention span of a goldfish or something like that these days, because of social media and society's over reliance on screens for everyday life. There's also this top layer of your brain called the cerebral cortex, and it's responsible for your memory and other brain functions. And if you spend too much time on screens, that layer of your brain gets a lot thinner, and that's not good. So, third, physical problems like back and neck pain and things like obesity. Yes, there are like physical problems that screen time can be a result of. First, chronic neck and back pain slash problems. When you spend a lot of hours in front of a screen, like if you have a desk job or online school or something similar, all that sitting and screen work is going to need you to like hunch down and look at the screen. Short term, it might lead to back pain and neck pain, and long term, it could completely wreck your posture and your back, and also lead to this thing. I don't know what it was called, but it's basically when your neck gets kind of weird, and it's because of hunching down or bad posture, and that usually happens when you spend a lot of time on screen. I remember that when I had online school a few years ago, my back would always hurt and my posture sucked, and it was really tiring. My legs would also always hurt because of all the sitting. The same goes if you have a job or something that requires you to sit a lot and just work on a computer or something similar. So something you could try is putting a sticky note on your computer that says to fix your posture, like a really bright sticky note. Another thing you could try is to make sure to move around every 30 minutes or so, even if it's just for like literally a minute of moving around. Another problem is your vision. In the short term, you might have headaches or your eyes just physically hurt or burn. But in the long term, it can actually lead to myopia, which is nearsightedness, or astigmatism, which both of which I have. Mine's genetic though, and eye doctors are like, nothing is going to make it worse or better, but it can lead to that, and it can actually worsen it a little bit for me. Another thing is that most of the time when you're on screens, you're probably just like sitting or not really moving around. So it makes sense that when you spend a lot of time in front of a screen, you're more likely to get obesity or something like that because you're not moving around a whole lot. So there's that too. Lots of reasons to actually just get off screen and do something else that's fun. 4, you waste so much time on screens. This is a big one for a lot of people. Social media is a huge part of society these days. You use it to connect with people, maybe you use it for work reasons, you use it to stay up to date on your friend and family's lives, and many more reasons. So you just might be justifying all your screen time use as connecting with your friends or family through messaging people or calling them or seeing their posts. Social media is a major way that we can stay connected to those that we can't physically see, so we can still stay in touch. And I'm grateful for that. But sometimes, like when you're just doom scrolling through TikTok or Instagram Reels or something, you probably only mean to do it for a few or so minutes. But these social media apps and really anything on a screen is constructed and designed so that you get sucked in for hours on end, or just like maybe not hours on end, but just a lot longer than you intended for. So yeah, you're probably gonna waste 2 to 3 hours doing literally nothing useful when you could have gotten so much work done in that amount of time. Like in 2 hours, I could finish all my schoolwork for like 2 days, or do like a lot of exercise, or clean my room, or write an episode, or write half a script, or like do a drawing, do a painting. And I'm literally now just thinking of all these things. I should have thought of this stuff like 2 hours ago when I was on the verge of crying from boredom. But yeah, that's that. See, my point is that there are so many things you can do for fun besides screens, and honestly, the things that you do without screens are honestly just more fun. And also, there are so many things that you probably need to do at the moment, but you're choosing to ignore them, aka procrastination, because going on screen, social media, or binge watching TV or something like that sounds a lot more appealing than doing your work. It's also simply easier. Like, it's so much easier to go and lay down and do those useless things than getting up and working up the smallest bit of half-hearted motivation to do your stuff. And I get that. I'm also guilty of procrastinating things because other useless things, like doing other useless things instead of my work, because it seems easier and a lot more appealing. But I have eventually gotten over that, and now I can just do my work because it's kind of the only thing I have left to do. Brings me to my next point. I don't have a phone, and I'm grateful for that, and I absolutely hate it at the same time. I'm grateful for it because it means I can focus on my work, because as soon as I've been on my mom's phone for longer than like 2 to 10 minutes, she starts yipping at me to get off the phone, because apparently it's all I do. It's actually really not, but anyways, I don't exactly have much to do then because my mom limits my screen time so much unless it's for school. So now I'm just forced to do my work, and I sort of have a habit of just doing my work instead of procrastinating. So make it as hard as possible for you to procrastinate and waste time on screens. There are these like phone lockbox things that you can just put your phone into, and then you set a timer and it will unlock the box after that. So now you just have to go do your work, or set screen time limits on your phone or whatever device it is. Do not disturb mode also works if you don't want to deal with that. Point is, just make it as hard as you can. Put as many obstacles in front of you as you can to like not go on screens, and then you can go to your work. I can't really find words to explain this one, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that most of our non-mandatory screen time, like screen time for school or work, like that's mandatory screen time because I'm a student. I have to do my schoolwork, or someone has a job, they kind of have to do the work for their job. But most of that screen time that we don't actually have to do is either spent on social media or watching TV or and the like. But social media and sometimes TV can be toxic in ways that we don't really see. So social media is meant to show us the highlights of people's lives. These photos and 1 minute or less videos they post aren't their whole life, only the highlights of it. Of course, people online want you to think they're perfect and that their lives are also perfect to go with it. They're really not, because nobody's perfect. And I heard this quote somewhere. I'm not sure if it's word for word, but no human is perfect, and you're not human if you are perfect, or if you are perfect, you're not human. It's something close to that. Always remember that. It's a golden piece of advice to live by, and it's very true. But we see all these seemingly perfect people with perfect lives and all that, and feel like our lives aren't good enough, or we're not good enough. And it takes a toll on your mental health, and most of the time people don't even realize it. We see all these thin and, like, I'll admit, really pretty people too on social media and wonder why we can't be like that. I remember something else from a project last year that said that over 50% of teens 10 to 18 or something like that said that these kinds of images made them feel bad about themselves. Once again, I don't know the exact numbers, but it was something close to this, and it's also kind of crazy and sad. For all I care, 90% of these photos are photoshopped to the point of there's no original photo anymore. I'm not even kidding. Models on Shein are a great example. No one can have a waist that freaking small unless you eat basically nothing every single day. Another thing is, don't try to look like people on social media. Models are literally paid to be thin. The workouts and diets and even surgery lengths that people go to in order to change their appearance, it's honestly kind of crazy and sad. And not to mention so expensive. It's so much better and cheaper to just be happy and confident in yourself and like who you are and what you look like. If you want, like, try social media detox for even a day, and you notice how much better you'll feel and how much time you're gonna save. Long story short, social media and sometimes TV is just toxic, and it makes people feel insecure about their appearance and themselves, and it's just toxic and kind of sucks. So there's a ton more reasons for why screen time sucks, and I'm almost losing my voice, but we're gonna ignore that. But this episode would probably be a year long if I had to explain all of them. I'm not even kidding. I feel like these are the main reasons why screens suck, though, and like the main reasons people want to reduce their screen time, especially the one about wasting time. Okay, so now I wanted to talk about some of the ways that you can reduce your screen time. The first one being making it hard. Sort of mentioned this earlier, but I want you to make it as hard as possible to go on screens. There's this video I watched a few years ago, and it talked about this 20-second rule. It said if you make something even the smallest bit easier to do, you're like almost 100% going to do it. Same goes for making something the smallest bit harder to break bad habits. So an example would be if you're trying to go work out or go to the gym every morning. Actually, wait, I have a better example. So, I can't eat like normal marshmallows that are like normally sold places because they have gelatin in them, and I can't eat gelatin because I'm vegetarian. And we have to buy like vegetarian marshmallows off Amazon, and I did that a while ago. And honestly, all my sugar intake for a week came from bread and marshmallows. I'm not even kidding at all. So I decided like 3 days ago, I took the box of marshmallows and I shoved it on the highest shelf of the pantry. Like I have to get a ladder to reach it, and I told my mom about it, and she gives me a weird look, and she's like, okay, but I haven't eaten marshmallows in 3 days. I literally just realized that because it would probably take me about 20 seconds to grab a ladder and to get up and get the box of marshmallows, but no, like out of sight, out of mind, it literally really works. So I'm thinking about doing this for like other sweets too, and like other things that I want to avoid. Yeah, that's honestly a really good example from my life. And another thing, like this, it gave this example in the video. Like if you're trying to go to the workout or go to the gym every morning, wear your workout clothes to bed so you save yourself the pain of doing that. Pack your gym bag, do everything you possibly can so that when you wake up, it's just like a few little things. You might have to brush your hair, brush your teeth, something like that, and then you can just leave. The same way you can apply this for limiting your screen time. Phone lock boxes, which I mentioned earlier, they're only about $10 on Amazon at the cheapest, but the money you spend will be worth every minute you save and spend on something much better. Using the do not disturb feature on your phone. Simple, built in, no money. It's like your phone wants you to use it. And also most of the time you go on social media or something because you got a notification. So if you didn't get a notification, then you wouldn't have gone on your phone to check just that one thing and get sucked into the rabbit hole of screens. Honestly, just like a perfect solution. There are also some softwares and apps and extensions and stuff that you can download that like limit or block your access and time on certain websites and apps that you tell it to. I can't remember the name of this app, but I heard that there are apps that delay the loading of the apps you choose. Like it just makes them take longer to like load. But even having just like a 10-second delay can make you choose not to go on social media. Just make it super hard for you to go on social media. TVs in bedrooms. So having a TV in your bedroom is an increasingly common thing these days. I actually have only one TV in the living room of my whole house. There's not even one in the basement, but our basement's really tiny, so yeah. But there are a number of reasons as to why you shouldn't have a TV in your bedroom. First of all, you're making it way too easy to just watch TV. At least in my case, I spend a ton of time in my room if I'm not at school or just not in my house for whatever reason. So if you also spend a lot of time in your bedroom, then you're making it far too easy to watch TV. Like I do pretty much all my schoolwork, podcast work, anything productive in my room. So if there was a TV there, I would probably watch some TV instead of doing my work. This is basically the only reason I'm grateful for my mom's super duper strict limits on my screen time. It's just so much easier to go watch TV than do your work, and you also might watch TV before bed. You most likely also spend the hour before bed in your bedroom, if not longer. So if you shouldn't be on screens or really any blue light exposure an hour before bed. If you have a TV in the bedroom, you're probably just gonna watch TV before bed and wreck your sleep. One more thing, inflation. This one's really random and not technically relevant, but guess what? TVs are super expensive, just like everything these days. So you could add like, okay, I'm not even kidding. I saw this avocado in Hair Cedar the other day, and it didn't even look like an avocado. It looked like little plastic, and I was like, I was on my phone with my mom because she wasn't there, and I was like, you seriously want me to buy this plastic looking avocado? And she's like, how much does it cost? And I'm like, it says $4 for this one avocado, and she's just like, okay, what? No, don't buy that. And I'm like, okay, thanks, thankfully, because I don't want my mom to eat something that looks like plastic. So yeah, but $4 for one avocado is a lot. And not even an avocado that looks good. It just looks like pure plastic. I'm not even kidding. But yeah, so you could either save a good amount of money by not buying a TV for your bedroom, or if you just can't put it anywhere else in your house, that would be useful. Just sell it online. You could probably make a good amount of money from selling the TV, and you could put that money towards like hobby things that you can do instead of screens, or you can save the money and save up to buy something more useful for your house or bedroom. There are a bunch more reasons why you shouldn't have a TV in your room, but these are just a few of them. Just one more way to get your life back. Find some other things you can replace your negative screen time usage with. So I actually just came up with this idea, but like I heard it had an actual name for it, like dopamine menus. That's what my aim is to make that my episode next week. Like building a dopamine menu and some things you can put on it, the like. So yeah, but there are tons of ways to entertain yourself these days: video games, social media, mobile games, and so many things. But have you ever noticed that all of those are on screens? But probably not, because as long as you're entertained, you're not going to think about it that much. Think about your goals. Maybe you want to work out more, maybe you want to read more, focus on a side hustle, or even start one up, or learning a language, so many things. But another excuse for not achieving our goals is that we don't have time. So now we have time to spend 2 hours scrolling on social media or binge watching a TV show or something like that. But we can't spend 30 minutes or so a day working out or reading or spending it on that side hustle or studying a new language. That's kind of stupid, but imagine what you could do if you replaced your negative screen time with your goals or tasks that help you achieve these goals. Honestly, amazing things. But another thing that I mentioned a bajillion times already and will continue to mention is that going on screens and doing these activities is so much easier and more falsely satisfying than going on your goals or going to work on your goals. You need to find even a few alternative goals that you can spend that time on or things that you can do instead of screens. For me, instead of watching TV or whatever, I would spend it on podcast work. And even though that's on screens, that counts for positive screen time because it's a productive thing, you know? And or like reading, painting, working out, cleaning, schoolwork, so many more things that I could spend that time on. So right now, what I want you to do is just find even 3 things, not on screens at all, even positive screen time, just 3. And over the course of about 2 to 3 weeks, make a note to replace your negative screen time with those activities or goal work. Within those few weeks, you're going to notice that you're likely making significant progress on these goals. That sense of accomplishment is so much more satisfying than binge watching TV and realizing that you forgot about something really important that was supposed to be done by the next day, even if that takes so much longer and most likely more work to get to. But it feels so good. Trust me when I say that this is going to significantly reduce your screen time, maybe for good, and in a good way that helps you not makes you think or not make you think about screens all the time. Third, track your screen time. So for any habit, tracking it makes it a lot more satisfying because even if it's only a little, having a physical reminder of your progress reminds you that you're actually doing this, that you can do this. Like I said in a couple episodes before this, motivation leads to progress and progress gives you more motivation. It's a small loop, but it's a major thing in achieving your goals that I learned in habit development when I was actively working on my goal to drink more water, for example. I use this app called Water Reminder to track my water intake, and it feels good when you see that reminder of progress. Most of the time, the reason we quit or we give up on a goal is because we're not seeing progress. But tracking the habit is a way of having a reminder of progress, even if it's not like something we can actually see. For example, if I'm trying to think, if someone like was trying to lose weight or something, I don't know. And they tracked it by weighing themselves. Even if they lose 1 pound, you're probably not going to see a lot of difference. Like 1 pound, it's not a lot, but having a note of that progress will remind you that 1 pound is better than nothing, I guess. So that's just a random example. Um, and this goes for any goal you're trying to achieve, not just cutting back on screen time. All phones have screen time in the settings app, so that's one way to track it. Or you can put a lot of effort and manually track it and write it down and all that crap. Just do whatever works for you. You can also set like screen time limits for iPhones. I think there's a way that you can set up a password to get more time on the app instead of just ignoring it 100 times. I don't exactly know how that works, but if you can figure it out, let someone else set up the password and don't let them tell you what it is. Or even if you do just ignore it a lot of times, you might actually spend less time on that app because those reminders, wherever the screen time is up, like whenever the screen time is up, you still like those reminders can help you remember how much time you're spending on an app. So that awareness might lead you to spend less time on the app. Just track your screen time however works for you and make sure you utilize the built-in features on your phone or laptop or whatever to track your screen time and also setting up screen time limits. Scheduling in screen breaks. There are a lot of ways to do this. So basically what I mean is that I want you to make like a general chunking of your day. you have your morning routine, and you probably have a school or something or work that fills your weekdays or something else if it's a weekend, and then there's your post work or post school time, and then you have your night routine, and then it's bedtime. So don't forget about your meals too. For example, my day zones would be something like this: like wake up, morning routine, go to school if it's a weekday, come home, and depending on the day of the week, follow the after school routine for that day. And then there's just this period of time before dinner that I have to do whatever, and then go to sleep and repeat, unless it's a weekend or there's no school, because those days have no structure at all. Now find the zones where having no screen time is either not exactly necessary or better. Having no screens during your morning and night routine is a must because both affect your sleep wake cycles and your body clock. Just random pockets of time are there during the day where you don't need screens, etc. Find those zones and make them no screen zone. Maybe it's just a random day and you realize you don't need screens or whatever reason for however long. Make it strictly no screens. Try to schedule pockets of time with no screens. Honestly, if you want, you can just go on your calendar and schedule in those no screen time sections. If you see something in your schedule, you might be more likely to follow through with it because that's what you're supposed to do. If it's your job or just daily life requires you to use screens a lot, then just be sure you take breaks every half an hour of screen time and move around or stretch or close your eyes or take some deep breaths to give your eyes a break. Always make sure to do this because it will help you so freaking much and makes being on screens for long periods of time so much easier. Another option are standing desks. I recently heard of these and they're exactly as they sound, desks that allow you to stand and work. Or you can just stand and work at your normal desk for part of the day if that's a possibility. No matter what you choose to do to give yourself a screen break, at least your whole body won't hurt afterwards as an added plus. Moving on to the final tip to limit your screen time. Stop going on screens while you're eating. I saw this thing about why Koreans were like so slim and healthy, and one of the main things in it was the fact that Koreans make meal times a whole experience. There's no screens, but people eat with their families or just with people, and they appreciate the food they're given and make a whole fun thing out of a simple meal. In the United States, most people see food as an enemy and as an afterthought, not really thinking about what we're putting into our bodies, as long as we're eating something to like just survive and get by. Everyone's guilty of this, but our diets literally make up who we are. Some people even say that diet has an impact on your personality and your character too. Food really is that powerful. I feel like everyone has a habit of watching TV at a meal. I do this too pretty much every day. But a good amount of our screen time comes from meal times. So if you could cut that out, you could cut out a pretty decent amount of screen time. And if it interests you, calories too. When you don't have all your focus on the TV and just eating the food as if it was an afterthought, you're definitely going to eat a lot more as opposed to if you have the TV off and your focus was the food. And now, like, instead, when you're more aware of what you eat, you're more likely to notice when you get full a lot faster. That makes you eat less in general. For example, like I tried this when I was trying to cut out sugar. It actually works amazing. I decided that whenever I was eating a piece of chocolate, I was going to take really tiny bites of it to finish. Like even just the tiniest piece of chocolate, I would take really tiny bites. And dragging that chocolate eating out made me eat like almost, it made me eat like a quarter as much chocolate. I'm not even kidding. It works like magic. When you're more aware of what you eat, you're gonna eat less. Or eat more if you need to. Eating with the TV and social media and emails off is so much better than if you were just having a meal with all that unnecessary chaos going on in the background for your mind and body. So that was all I had to say on some ways you can limit your screen time. There's lots more, but you can just find what works for you and implement that into your life. I hope that these few I gave you guys help at least a little bit though. Limiting your screen time is one of the first and best ways to get your life back and better. So to end our episode today, I have a quote for you guys from Billy Cox, and it goes, "Screen time should improve your life, not become your life." Bye guys, rate, review, follow, and share this podcast, drink some water, and I love you all.